Welcome, one and all, to our 2025 WG NFL mock draft episode. It's been a while. The boys have been busy. Dante's graduating college, and how long? When's graduation day?
2, 3 weeks, May 10th.
Wow, that's
Yep.
insane.
Yep.
Luke and I are finishing up another year of school. I will be taking a fifth year. Luke will have his senior year, of course, next year, but got a lot of plans this summer, hopefully. Just got to figure out how to execute them. But anyways, for right now, we are your guys, Adam.
Dante.
And Luke.
And let's not waste any time. We've got our mock draft here. As you can see, the 2025 NFL draft order and class. So before we begin, guys, are we just going straight through every pick? Are we doing any trades?
We haven't done trades before, so I would say no trades.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I agree. That would make things a little complicated.
Sure.
You can see the board next to the order right there Dante's got up. We are using the PFF mock draft simulator, so shout out PFF for these rankings. And yeah, without further ado, Luke, you are selecting first overall for the Tennessee Titans. So let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, not a lot of going back and forth for this one. It's a clear need. What most people would say is probably the best player in the draft. They will be taking Cam Ward, 1.1. That's a slam dunk.
Couldn't agree
No
more.
surprises there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Cam Ward a lot this year. I mean, without a doubt, the top QB in the class for a team that needs a quarterback. I mean, comparing him to other QB classes, other past draft prospects, I'm not sure how high he ranks, but I'm also curious, where was he ranked on the overall players list on here, Dante?
I'm not sure because I already went through it. I'm sure he's top 10 though. Has to be.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I am on the board here at number two with the Cleveland Browns, and to me, it's another no-brainer. With the second pick in the 2025 WG NFL mock draft, the Cleveland Browns will select Travis Hunter, two-way player from Colorado. Not sure what he's going to be in the NFL, corner or wide receiver. Either way, Browns are getting an absolute stud, what many would say top player of the draft this year. So, Dante, you're up with the Giants at three.
Yeah, so there's been some discourse, people thinking this could be a Shador Sanders landing spot. I don't think so. I think the Giants got their quarterback for now, and obviously they're going to build for the future. And what better way to build for the future than bringing in a generational edge rusher out of Penn State? Abdul Carter will be a New York Giant.
I could definitely see that being the case now. If you asked me a month ago, I would not be so sure. I would have thought maybe Shador Sanders, but then they brought in Jameis Winston and they brought in Russell Wilson, and now all of a sudden quarterback is not as much as of a concern. And we get to pick four here with the Patriots. Luke, a lot of Patriots fans, I'm sure, are thinking this could be the scenario where Hunter and Carter, the two guys you want most, are off the board. And what do the Patriots do? From there, I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, certainly if either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter is still on the board, I feel like that's both of those guys are can't miss, especially Travis Hunter in our situation. But there's no reason to believe that either of those guys will still be around. 2 years ago, the Patriots got a miracle and got Christian Gonzalez over everyone's heads. Last year, we ended up with Drake May when he could have very easily been taken one or two. I don't think something that sweet is going to happen again this year. But the guy I think we will be taking is someone I have no problem with and someone who should uh, be able to protect Drake May. We're going to be taking Will Campbell out of LSU.
Great pick. He's going to be great.
I like Will Campbell. I know there's concerns of the small hands or small arm size thing, but he was one of the top tackles in the SEC. And when you can be top of the class in that conference, I don't think you should be concerned. So, anyways, the Jacksonville Jaguars here on the clock at number five, and nobody really knows what they are going to do, but I don't know. I heard tonight, I was talking with some friends, and I heard this might no longer be a possibility, depending on what Jacksonville does or the way the draft shakes out. But I'm going to go with it anyways. I'm going to have the Jaguars with the fifth overall pick selecting Mason Graham out of Michigan.
Yeah.
To me, I don't like Michigan at all. Y'all know that, but he is one of the best prospects in this class from what I've heard, and I think would be a home run selection if he ends up with Jacksonville. And I think there's a very real shot that they could do that. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to be very good next year. There's no denying that. So why spend a top pick on an offensive player that I don't know if they're going to make a difference immediately? Shore up that defense a little more. Get Mason Graham in Jacksonville. That's what I think will happen. Dante, you're up with the Raiders.
Yeah, so I feel like the Raiders could go a few different ways here. I could, you know, Ted McMillan is right there, but Raiders really need a halfback, and what better halfback in this draft than Ashton Genty? So I think this has been a landing spot for Genty for months now, ever since even before the combine. After the season ended, people are like, "Oh, Ashton Genty's a Raider," and I do agree. Will his talent translate to the NFL? I'm not sure. I don't know, but like take Ashton Genty at face value. He's a top 10 pick, and I have him as a Raider. So
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Ashton Genty to Vegas um, rumors, and no disrespect to this guy, but their best running back currently is Raheem Mostert, who I believe is 32, 33 years old. Bless you, Luke. Clearly out of his prime. So it would make a lot of sense for the Raiders to go with Ashton Genty here, and I feel like that'd be a pick that Pete Carroll, new head coach, would be very happy with. So, anyways, Luke, you know your division very well, and you will be drafting for the Jets here at number 7. So, who do you think they're going to take?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn between a couple different people here. This is gonna end up being the first, I would say, kind of reach of the draft, I think so far. I think last year, all the people in that building saw all the talent and all those names on the offense. They still went whatever 5 and 12. They went ended up with the seventh pick, and they are probably deciding now with Justin Fields. They have confidence in him, but they also think they can spend a little bit on defense because if that offense isn't where it is, it's only a 2-year contract. There's probably get out after one. It's getting closer and closer to blowing it up if they aren't able to win with the core they have on offense, who they have to be somewhat confident in. So I'm gonna have them reaching a little bit for a stud on defense. I'm gonna have them taking Michael Williams out of Georgia.
mm,
Okay.
Not sure how far down he is there, but
Well, from what I've heard, he is a lot better than PFF has him ranked. So I don't think that is too bad of a reach. And I mean, you can't really go wrong with any Georgia defensive player in the NFL. So,
sure.
anyways, I'm up here with my Carolina Panthers. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. The Carolina Panthers finished 32nd in scoring defense in the NFL last year. Defense is a very massive need right now. While we could go offensive players like Tedero, McMillan, Tyler Warren would be fantastic. I would love that so much. I'm going to go the safe route, go defense, and go the guy I have heard projected to the Panthers the most out of anybody, and that is Georgia's Jalen Walker at number 8.
Yeah.
Another guy who's kind of far down there,
No,
but
Jalen Walker is a great pick. How do you spell Jade?
LON.
Oh, that's right. Nice.
So Dante, you're up at number 9 with the Saints.
Yeah, so another landing spot potentially for Shador Sanders, but I think the Saints have many more gaping needs. And I don't think a quarterback would just be a band-aid. And this is not a situation where a quarterback would develop well. So I don't think they're going to go with QB here. I think they're going to get a stud in the secondary, and they're going to get Will Johnson out of Michigan. Will
Okay.
Johnson, Will Johnson is a stud, and I think he'll be a staple. I feel like he'll fit the missing Marshawn Lattimore role that since he's now departed to Washington. So yeah, Saints need a stud corner, and I think he'll be a leader on that defense.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Saints going defense if they don't go Shador Sanders, which if they do go Shador, I'll be okay with it. If they don't, I'll be okay with it too. So I guess we'll see what happens. I do like the idea of Will Johnson for the Saints. But moving on to the final pick of the top 10, we have the Chicago Bears, who have new coach Ben Johnson to work with their shiny young offense led by Caleb Williams. And we'll see what Luke thinks they should add in the draft.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it before we hit the record button. They would love if Ashton Genty fell to them, but it's going to be hard to sit there at 10 and still have that happen. And I don't see them trading up quite for it. And I don't see it happening. So I think we're looking at a different reality. I think Ben Johnson is going to kind of stay in that mindset. He's going to go tackle here. I am somewhat between Mumbu and Kelvin Banks, but I think the Bears are the team who's going to take Kelvin Banks first off of this board instead of Mumbu from Missouri. I just he sounds like a bear already. Something about his name. I don't know, but I definitely think that's the position they go.
Sounds similar to Mr. Tevin Jenkins, old Bears offensive lineman from
Yeah.
Yeah. I and I think that would make sense for the Bears to kind of take more offensive line help, protect Caleb Williams. I think that should be a priority if they aren't going to target offense or a defensive playmaker. So now the 49ers are on the board, and this is an interesting spot because they lost a lot of people this offseason in an effort to hopefully extend Brock Purdy somewhere down the line. And I'm thinking about this here. I was gonna go one route, but I think I'm gonna go a different one. Um, they could use pretty much anybody right now. I was gonna go with an offensive weapon, but I don't really think that's the Shanahan style pick. He's the kind of guy that can make it work with anybody. So I will reveal, I was going to think about doing Ted McMillan for the 49ers. That would just be fantastic. But I don't really think he's their biggest priority because, like I said, they can make an offense work with anybody, and spending a high pick on a wide receiver may not be the best idea. I am actually going to make this the spot that Armand Membu goes. And I think that could really work out because, like we've said, protect for the quarterback. 49ers lost a lot of people. I was going to say the Giants, like MLB, San Francisco Giants. I get them confused sometimes, but
It's baseball
yeah.
season.
What'd you say?
It's baseball season. So
Yeah, for sure. And the Giants are off to a great start. But it says on there for the Niners, one of the needs are tackle. So I figured Membu would make sense. Might as well get someone that could keep Purdy from suffering any injuries because you want to pay him. So, anyways, Dante, I'll let you have the floor with a very interesting team, the Dallas Cowboys.
yeah, the Cowboys are a huge meme whenever it comes to this time of year. Specifically talking about the offseason. Don't really spend much in free agency, really ever, have in the last two off seasons. And I think they're going to slightly reach here. You see Ted McMillan on the board. You feel that's an obvious pick. But in the mind of Jerry Jones, he loves O'Marion Hampton from North Carolina. So we're going to go
Oh,
O'Marion Hampton
wow.
at 12 to the Dallas Cowboys.
This gives me flashbacks. If you remember our mock last year, I shocked you both and Josh Knapp and Zach Nitchie when the Cowboys were up, I believe, 24th. And I said, Dante, do you mind going to the running backs page? And I said, Jonathan Brooks. Now, looking back on it, he obviously went to the Panthers. Unfortunately, we'll be missing all of next year with his retorn ACL. But
Really? Dang.
yeah, I could see Hampton going to Dallas. It would certainly be a shock, but I mean, why not? I've seen crazier happen. Jerry
I think
Jones likes to get crazy,
I
so
think I think if the board falls like this, they're going to be like, why wouldn't they take McMillan? I think that's what it's going to be.
true. Anyways, speaking of Luke knowing his division, Luke is slated to make the Dolphins pick here. So go for it, Luke.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm having a bit of a hard time with it. Uh, just because the Dolphins are an interesting team, and I think they could be one of those teams that makes a trade, has a player or two move. Um, they're like the Jets, where I think that they are kind of forcing themselves to believe that the offense that they have is still an offense that can at least win some games in the winter. And whether or not that's the case, I don't think any doubt will be reflected with this pick. I think that they try to create a killer edge rusher tandem. And they go Mike Green out of Marshall.
Nice. Shout out to
Him on the other
Marshall.
side of Chop Robinson. I think that's just it would scare me, but I don't see them going offense. I don't see them being too attracted by the wide receivers on the board unless they end up moving Tyreek Hill.
Shout out to the Thundering Herd. Hell yeah. Shout out
For
to
real.
Marshall.
I've heard a lot of good things about Mike Green in this draft. For teams that need defense, I've heard he's a guy you should target, and he's a guy who could really help you going forward. But anyways, moving on here. We've got the Colts, and there's one player I've got in mind here. You look at the needs, and you see the first position there. And you go to the tight ends, and there's a clear guy who will be a difference maker in this year's draft. The Colts will be the team that selects Tyler Warren out of Penn State.
Gonna
And I'm
agree.
praying to the football gods above that they know how to use him in an offense led by Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. Because Tyler Warren might be one of the best tight end prospects I've ever seen, besides Kyle Pitts, of course. Kyle Pitts coming out of college was just otherworldly prospect.
I think Warren's a better prospect than Pitts
I,
was.
that's not a ridiculous take. It's not ridiculous.
How
It's not
ridiculous to say
ridiculous to say that at all.
that.
So I think this is the spot Tyler Warren ends up, and I hope he has a fantastic career in Indianapolis.
Yeah. He just seems like a cult, you know?
He really does. Anyways, Dante, you get the joy of drafting for my least favorite team, so feel free to screw them over however you'd like.
Nah, I'm gonna give him someone good, and I think the Falcons are gonna be thanking their lucky stars, aka Jerry Jones, for passing on Ted McMillan because I think if the board falls this way, you see their needs. They need a number two to go along with Drake London. No offense to Darnell Mooney, he had a great year, but Ted McMillan right there, what a pick.
I'm showing a mad face because that would obviously be a fantastic pick for them. Heard a lot of criticism about that McMillan this year, and I'm not buying into it. I think he's the best receiver in the class, and I think he could be a real difference maker somewhere. I mean, he's like, what, 6'4" from what I heard?
Yeah.
That's an insane frame for a receiver.
See, does it show his height and weight? No, because PFF is, I won't say it.
But first look on a different page.
If you go to
It might just
I
been
know this
wrong.
because I for Com Radio, an organization a part of here.
I'll just look at it.
I was gonna say I was doing draft profiles for them. I'm pretty sure if you go to the Draft Network or NFL.com for the prospect, it says their height or weight or ESPN.
He is 6'4", yeah.
Yeah,
6'4".
crazy.
Huge. Yeah. That's
Gonna be
like,
a difference maker for whoever gets him.
yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
Anyways, Luke, were you gonna say something before the next pick?
No, it's fine.
Well, anyways, you're up with Arizona, so go
Yeah.
for it.
For the Cardinals, another kind of clear need, someone I think they're going to be really happy has fallen to them. Someone whose first name I'm afraid to butcher. I think they'll absolutely pull the trigger on Jade Barron from Texas.
Honey Bear. Yeah.
It's a real need. It's actually somebody I realized I probably could have picked for Miami, but I think at 16 it's a great fit.
I think
Yeah.
Mike Green could be yeah. I forgot his last name, but I
Either
think
way, yeah.
I was gonna say I think Mike Green was a great pick for the Dolphins, and I think Jahdae Barron's a great pick for the Cardinals. I think both make sense.
yeah.
Like you said, it's positions they could upgrade in or just need in general. So, all right, pick 17, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, going back to what I said about the Carolina Panthers, the Bengals are clearly great on one side of the football and not so good on the other. Looking at those team needs, looking at the positions on the board, I don't know. I'm between two to three guys here. I am gonna go. Let's go. Another name I feel like I might butcher a little bit. Jihad Campbell from Alabama. Says they need a linebacker, and I feel like any defensive player in general would help out the Bengals right now, especially if they trade Taylor or not Taylor Hendricks. He's an NBA player. What's Trey Hendrickson? Jeez, I'm
Yeah.
off tonight, guys. But
You're chilling.
yeah, I think any defensive player, especially Jihad Campbell, an Alabama guy, would help out the Bengals for sure.
Mhm.
Give Joe Burrow a little less of a deficit to come back from when it needs to happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dante, you're up with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. So the Seahawks are one of the only teams in this draft who are very, you know, they need offensive line. Let's just say it how it is. They need offensive line. And I think Tyler Booker out of Alabama is the perfect pick for them right here. They need a guard. They drafted Evan Neal a few years ago, and he's been okay. He's been decent, but they really need a staple on that offensive line, and I think Tyler Booker could be that. This may be a slight reach, but I think Tyler Booker is exactly what you need if you're the Seahawks right now. Not a very deep um, offensive line class, but the guys who are good are good. So yeah, I think Tyler Booker could be really good here.
I was going to say not to correct you, Dante. I believe the guy you're thinking of is Charles Cross.
Charles Cross, Evan Neal
Evan
went to
Neal went to the
the
Giants.
Giants. Sorry,
No,
that
you're good.
there were like three or four offensive linemen that went in that top 10.
That was a weird year. Yeah, Carolina got Ike Ekwonu, which I guess might end up being one of the best of those three or four.
yeah,
So,
but Charles Cross, yeah, same thing. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I understand. All right, Luke, Tampa Bay Buccaneers in number 19.
Yeah, I did a little bit of reading about this pick. They only had 7 interceptions as a team last year, I believe. Um, Part of that was because
Wow.
Antoine Winfield missed some time, but Todd Bowles is going to want to work on coverage, work on. He's going to want a ball hawk. I'm stalling a little bit, but the name's right there in terms of either defensive backs or I like a safety for them. I'm going to go Malachi Starks for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is exactly where he's projected to go in the mock drafts I've seen.
Yeah.
So great pick.
Okay, Malachi Starks. Yeah, that would be pretty good for the Buccaneers. Uh, Not a guy I want in my division, but I completely understand the team need and that it would be a good pick. All right, Denver here at 20. Now, I can't lie. Dante, the guy I was thinking of going for them was Amarion Hampton. He'd been there all the way at 20, but
My bad.
no, you're good. Um, but I got another idea. And Luke, I was actually going to text you about this guy for the Chargers, but I'm actually going to take him here with Denver at 20. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. I forgot the Broncos signed Evan Ingram. So I'm not going that route anymore.
Were you gonna say Colson Loveland? Because
I was.
I could see that.
I was going to go Colson Loveland, but I forgot they signed Evan Ingram, so I don't think tight end is the big need anymore.
Now, Adam, I don't mean to, you know, sway your decision at all, but I have heard that the Broncos are in love with Colston Loveland. Just an inside source. Not to persuade,
Okay.
but whatever you think.
What
That's
exactly is this inside source?
Adam Schefter.
Oh, okay. Um,
Mel Kiper, but
huh.
do
This is
you?
interesting now.
I don't really know. I'm just a guy. Don't listen.
I'm between two guys with this pick, and I am actually gonna go with the second guy I was thinking of. And I apologize if this ruins what you were doing for the Steelers, because I feel like they could draft this guy, but I'm gonna go with Luther Burden the third for the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think that would make sense. I was like I said, I was gonna go Loveland, but I forgot about the Evan Ingram pickup. So I don't think tight end is as much of an issue as it once was. They could definitely get another receiver for Bo Nix, someone more proven to be a two next to Cortland Sutton, who's very underrated, by the way. So, yeah, I think Burden would be great.
Cortland Sutton, best 50-50 ball catcher in the league. Don't at me.
Hmm.
All right,
Anyways, go for it, Dante.
Steelers on the clock. And Adam, you mentioned Luther Burden, maybe a guy the Steelers could go with or that I want them to take. If you would have asked me that 3 months ago before we got DK Metcalf, also shout out, haven't been on here since we got DK Metcalf. The Steelers got DK Metcalf. Insane. So stoked about that. But with this pick, I was talking to my buddies and you know what they told me? They told me bust out my AP perfect timing. Ladies and
Oh
gentlemen,
my
Shador
gosh.
Sanders to the Steelers. Give
Wow.
me that.
Now, if you think that's going to happen, do you think they still try to get Aaron Rodgers tied down?
I don't, at this point, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming.
You don't think so?
No, I think it's Shador. And I think Mason will start maybe 5 or 6 games, and it'll be Shador's show from them.
You know, a month ago, if someone told me Shadur Sanders was going to be a Steeler, I would have called you crazy. But now, hey, it's definitely a possibility. And it's one I feel like the Steelers could do. The Steelers like that kind of player who has confidence and I'm not trying to say like behavioral issues thing. Like we know George Pickens is like like
Traded
a
for DK
dog,
Metcalf. No, you could say it. Yeah.
but those kind of guys that love the spotlight, believe in themselves, and you know,
Facts.
I don't know how else to say it, but I feel like Shador would be a perfect fit there.
He's a Mike Tomlin guy. Yeah.
There, that's the way to put it.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, he's a Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin likes to have some dogs on his team.
Gotcha.
Anyways, go for it, Luke.
Yeah, I'll make this easy. They are Chargers would be dumb not to take Colson Loveland here.
Agreed.
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer pick. I mean, went to Michigan. Jim Harbaugh's the coach in LA now. Draft one of his boys. They need a tight end anyway, so. All right. Well, I'm up once again with the Green Bay Packers here at 23. And we didn't mention this in the beginning, but Green Bay is the host of this year's NFL draft. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. I didn't think Green Bay was that much of a popular destination, but
I love it. I'm so
then
proud.
again, we know where the NFL draft will be going in 2026. That's going to be some fun. It's
WG will be there.
Hey, I would love to go.
I'm going for sure. So
I was going to say at least you should.
yeah.
But anyways, Green Bay Packers. I feel like it's finally time to hammer something out. Dante, go to the wide receivers for me.
Absolutely, sir.
I know there's somebody on the screen, but and I love him, but I think there's a guy who is better than Igbuka. I'm gonna say it's Matthew Golden for the Packers.
True.
They have made silly picks in this draft for how many years now? I mean, Jordan Love was seen as an extremely silly pick at first, but it ended up working out, I'd say. And every year, I feel like they make an absolute boring pick. And I feel like it's finally time to get a weapon who could be a difference maker. I've said the word difference maker a lot tonight, but someone who could be a legitimate number one.
Mhm.
And I feel like Matthew Golden could be that guy.
That'd be
So
sick. I'd love to see him and Jordan Love team up. I really would.
it is pretty obvious Christian Watson is not that guy.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately. But Vikings on the clock and a guy who has fallen a long way in this mock draft. You see the need. Interior defensive or yeah, defensive interior, defensive line. Give me Walter Nolan out of Mississippi. This guy was a tank in the SEC and a staple in that Ole Miss defense. And I think he fits right in with the Brian Flores, you know, philosophy defensively. So, yeah, I like Walter Nolan to the Vikings.
yeah, I was amazed at how far down this guy fell, but I think it's a good pick. Anyways, we are flying by, but 25 now. Luke, you are up with the Houston Texans.
Yeah, this one is so easy that it's actually really hard because you see the two needs, you know where the quarterback went to college, and you see those two names right there. Does Houston take Josh Simmons or do they take Ibuka? And I think they look around the league and they see some other sort of patterns. They see how good the Joe Alt pick turned out. They see some of the other higher paid tackles in the league, only a couple years off from their drafts, and teams succeeding like the Lions with Penei Sewell. And I think they take Josh Simmons instead of Igbuka. I think there's still so much wide receiver talent out in free agency. Other names flying around with possible trades. Could see AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill. You could see the best of all those names. Kayshon Boutte moved on draft night. You never really know what you're going to get from an Ohio State. Uh, well, you do know what you're going to get from Ohio State wide receiver, but this is a rare exception. I feel like Ibuka has. We have him falling. Uh, he went from being talked about as one of the top couple wide receivers to it's very possible he falls out of the first round. And I think the way these picks are falling, I see the Texans being more comfortable with the tackle, with Josh Simmons, than with a wide receiver.
That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. And I love Emeka Ibuka. For all I know, someone could draft him here toward the end of our mock, but I also feel like he could be a guy that makes the day two as one of the better players available. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm up with the Los Angeles Rams at number 26. And this is going to be a bit of a surprise, but I have them now. The Rams, I feel like don't get first round picks very often. They made their first round pick in what feels like a decade last year. And absolutely nailed it with Jared Verse, who won Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I feel like the Rams know that they're good and they don't have to worry as much about drafting someone, what? You
I
know,
think I know where you're
I
going.
think we both know who you're taking, but we'll
they
let
they
you
don't have to worry
go
as
ahead.
much about drafting someone who will make a difference this year. And they know their window is closing, especially with a specific someone, and they want to get someone who could be there for the long haul. I think the Rams will draft Jackson Dart. It just makes way too much. I saw
Why,
you hovering above Will Howard.
why is Riley Leonard ahead of Jackson Dart? Give me a break.
Yeah, for real. This was a guy I heard mocked to the Steelers a few times. Now I don't know if that happens anymore, but
If Shador either goes to the Giants or Saints, I'd be cool with Dart. Honestly, you know who's really catching my eye for the Steelers? Jalen Milroe. I'd love Jalen Milroe to the Steelers. He is literally Jalen Hurts. I'm joking, but but
well, anyways, I think this makes perfect sense for the Rams. Draft Jackson Dart, let him sit under Stafford for a year, maybe even 2 years.
Mhm. Yeah,
Stafford either
Maybe
leaves
three.
LA for another team or retires. You got Dart ready to go. I think it makes sense.
yeah.
Anyways, Dante, Baltimore Ravens time.
Now you see the team needs right here, and honestly, I was thinking about it. I'm going back and forth between these two. I could really see Harbaugh going for Emeka Ibuka, but Donovan Ezra, you see the last
Yeah.
name. I think if the board falls this way, they can't pass up on a guy like that, especially whenever they need edge rushers. So yeah,
I've never heard of this guy before, I
as you
can't
were
lie.
walking, as
And
you're
I'm writing down the name. So if you see me like really looking at my computer here, Eziru. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I mean, sure. I've never heard of him before.
I've heard of him. I've seen the name. Um,
Actually,
but
I might have. I don't know. Anyways, Luke, your last singular pick, the Detroit Lions.
So here's where it's gonna get a little funky because for the first time, I forget whether or not a certain person has been taken. Um, have we had Tyler Booker going anywhere out of Alabama?
Yes.
Tyler
Yeah,
Booker went
okay.
to the yeah.
Dante had him, yes,
Okay.
Seattle 18th.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna buy myself 20 seconds because my name was Donovan E, who the Ravens just drafted. Uh, for the sake of what's on my screen, and it's 28, and if we are shooting 100% by pick 28, I won't feel all that bad for ruining it. I will just say that the Lions kind of grind their teeth and take the number two prospect at the position, at least on their board for what was left here, and they can take James Pierce out of Tennessee.
Mm, yeah,
I
I,
honestly
I,
think
I
it's
d-
good.
Similar with the Dolphins, I think teams looking at around the league at the kind of you know status of the edge rusher position. You have Trey Hendrickson, who's going to want to get paid really badly. Myles Garrett just got paid. TJ Watt's going to get paid. And then other than that, it's a couple rookies and a couple guys who probably aren't good enough to get paid like the rest of the guys. So there's going to be teams that are going to be trying to figure this out in the draft. And I know they have Aiden Hutchinson, but he just missed a year. And not that that worries them, but like I said, like the Dolphins, if they can create a deadly tandem in that division, that could just be a crazy advantage.
true.
Yeah. Um, Fun fact, Luke, when I was looking at the very, very, very early 2025 mocks, like I'm talking right after the 2024 draft ended, I believe James Pierce Jr. was like the number one guy back then,
Hmm.
from what I remember. So the fact that the Lions are getting him this late, honestly, is not a bad thing. Anyways, Washington Commanders, number 29. Who expected the Commanders to make the NFC Championship this year? Not me, but good for them. They're a fun team.
Oh yeah.
But now we got a draft for them. And I know Commanders, fans are gonna not be as used to this draft strategy. Normally, they get to watch their team draft pretty early on, whether it's toward the top or toward the middle, and then they can go to bed. But they actually got to stay up and wait a little bit this year and wait till the very end of the first round. And when thinking about the Commanders, something comes to mind, and that was their defense last year. And they, yeah, not as good. People like to use the term get assaulted through the air with corners, like safeties, not playing as well. And there's a corner on the board right now, and I think the Commanders clearly need some defensive back help. Trey Amos from Ole Miss is going to be the pick here for the Commanders at 29.
Cool. I like that.
All right, Dante, you are up for the Buffalo Bills.
Now I'm leaning three players here. Um, I'm leaning the two A&M edge rushers, Nick Scorton or Shamar Stewart. My apologies. But I'm also looking at a guy who's also fallen a long way in Kenneth Grant. He is probably the second best. Or some could argue, wait, is Derek Harmon still on here? Derek Harmon's still on here. Another defensive interior guy that is very good. But I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart to the Bills. Take your pick with the A&M edge rushers. They're both very good, but I think the Bills will favor Stewart.
Makes sense. I think that would be a good pick for them. All right. Now, when you heard me say last individual pick for Luke, the reason I said that is because we kind of wanted to go even amount this year, and we want to have some fun and talk through it, all of us. So the last two picks are going to be made kind of as a WG consensus,
Thanks.
where we pick for the Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl runner-up. So first up, we have the Chiefs at 31, who, according to PFF, need a guard, a tackle, and a defensive alignment.
I I I can start off and throw out some names because I forgot we were doing that, and I was like, this is my pick. I have to have a name ready.
Sorry, Luke.
So I have two guys in mind. One is a screaming need after the Super Bowl, and the other one is kind of frisky, like, well, how much speed can we throw in this offense still? Um, Josh Conerly, offensive tackle out of Oregon, still there. However, I think it would be kind of surprising if we saw no running backs taken in the first round. Um, what's his name? Hampton out of North Carolina. He's still there. I could see the Chiefs uh,
Well,
taking him.
he went a while ago in our mock.
Yeah,
Oh, seriously?
Hampton went
Yeah,
12 to the Cowboys,
Oh,
and
all right.
then
Dante had him going pretty high.
Dang, all right.
yeah, sorry.
Although,
For a
Luke, if you're
second.
talking about running backs, there is a certain someone still on the board. Certain two people.
Oh,
Well, okay, a certain three people.
Well, then my pick for them would be not a running back, would be Cornerly out of Oregon.
I'm
But what do you guys
honestly
think?
fine with Connerly if that's what you want, Dante.
After the way that Super Bowl went,
you know what? I was thinking Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, but same position. We'll go Josh Cornley. Sure.
All right. Josh Connerly Jr., tackle Oregon. All right, we got one last pick here. The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. Thank the Lord, I am saying Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles instead of Super Bowl runner-up. I don't know what I would have done if the Chiefs won a third straight. So,
Yeah.
thank goodness. Why in the world is it saying the Eagles need another wide receiver?
That's
They
what
do.
I was going to say. Like, like what?
That is the last thing they need.
Yeah.
well,
Um,
when they trade AJ Brown for the fourth pick when Abdul Carter falls, they'll need another one.
Oh my God, dude. Michael Carter on the school.
would
It
you
will
take that,
happen.
Luke?
Yes. Well, yes.
I
Yes.
think you have to, honestly. I
That
mean,
would be the
AJ
second
Brown is
time.
Did you
still.
see did you see AJ Brown's live stream the other day?
I heard his
On
car got
Instagram
stolen.
where he was showing off his autographed Julian Edelman game worn jersey. He's like almost brought to tears about he's finally building up a autographed game worn Patriots jersey collection. And he showed off his Tom Brady and he was like jumping for joy like a little kid. Make that man a Patriot. If Abdul Carter falls, it's happening. or we get Abdul Carter. Either way, it's a win. But
Yeah.
we're doing no trades, slightly less fun. So what do you guys think?
Or we trade up, we take Abdul Carter, and you guys can have Xavier Leggett and have fun developing him.
Mm,
Honestly, do you bolster that defense with Eric Scorton? Do you go Emeka Ibuka? I don't know.
I feel like the furthest thing or the last thing the Eagles need is receiver.
Yeah.
But
do they go Penn
then
State
again,
there?
They go
Uh,
Kevin Winston?
it does say corner, and I mean safety does
it
count.
is not corner.
Well, it says they need a corner.
Yeah, and safety's not corner.
I said safety is defensive back as well, I think.
Close enough.
I don't know.
I mean, they don't even need a corner. They got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. What do we do they have
Do we want to just unite and draft Gray Zabel to the Eagles?
let's just unite and draft Tyler Shuck. Yeah, I'm cool with Gray Zabel, but even though they don't need offensive line either.
I'm just kidding.
But do
Um,
they? I mean,
I
they
I
think
don't. Why
mean,
does it say they need corner?
It says Edge and Nick Scorton is right there.
they go Nick Scorton. Yeah, I'm cool.
I'd say if anything, they probably need edge. Well, or you could go. We just stole.
Hassan Reddick is. Oh, he wasn't even there this year. What am I saying?
What's the guy's name the Patriots just signed from their defensive line?
Oh, Josh Sweat?
No.
No, Milton Williams. Yeah, you
So
stole
they're
him
gonna
from
need to replace him.
We
But
could go
Kenneth
Kenneth
Grant,
Grant. I would go Kenneth Grant then if that's the case.
they do need to replace him. I mean, he got that Super Bowl sack.
Yeah.
That would be like a Howie Roseman kind of pick, somehow lucking into Kenneth Grant.
Let's do
Sure.
it.
All right, no complaints.
All right.
Left, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the product.
You've earned one new award.
Thank you. We just know
That's
all
it.
that well.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, there you
if
go.
this is how the draft shakes out, are you guys happy with your team's pick? Upset?
I'm fine with it.
I mean, for the Pats, it's the boring pick, but
It's
it's
a
the
boring pick.
necessary pick. This
And
guy,
it's going to be the pick. I mean, we're not going to lock into Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
unless an insane trade up happens.
The farthest I would trade down is 10
No,
because
oh, you would trade down. I was saying trade up to the top three.
oh, no, I don't see that happening. I wouldn't bother with that. Uh because Will Campbell's fine. Um I the farthest I would trade down to 10 is to 10, and I say 10 because they could get desperate for Ashton Genty. Besides that, 11 through 15, I don't see a lot of interest in trading up. And I would not entertain trading down farther than that unless it was like an AJ Brown or someone.
True.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
or George Pickens or someone like that.
for Carolina, I've heard a ton of things. I've heard Jalen Walker's name a lot. I've heard the possibility of us trading back. Honestly, this year, if they want to trade back, sure. I mean, maybe you move back. I heard I think one of my friends sent their mock tonight and had the Colts moving up to 8 and drafting Tyler Warren, and we moved back to 14. And if we can move back 6 spots and get the Colts first round pick out of it next year, honestly, sure. I'm fine with that. I mean, Dan Morgan's got a lot of possibilities this year, and I believe he'll make the right choice. He's had a great offseason. So
Yeah.
yeah. But Dante, you'd be happy with Shador, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd be cool with honestly. I'd be cool with Shador. I'd be cool with Dart. I'd be cool with Milrow. I just want one of those guys. And I, Shador would be pretty sick. But however, I do like a lot about Jackson Dart's game. However, he's fallen to like third on my list out of those three. I really like Jalen Milrow. If he's there, oh, man, I wouldn't be upset if we got him. But Shador would be cool too. He has a great deep ball on him, and yeah, I'd like Shador. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I think him to GP and DK would be sick. But I could also see us going defensive line. A guy who fell out of the first round somehow in our draft, Derek Harmon. I've seen him to the Steelers a bunch. I've seen Kenneth Grant. I saw one They gave us Malachi Starks. Brother, we got Deshaun Elliott and Minka Fitzpatrick. I don't think we need a safety, but I could also see. I saw another one, Omarion Hampton to the Steelers would be insane. But I think Shador will be a Steeler. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Steelers quarterbacks, Luke, do you want to show Dante something you picked up the other day?
Oh yeah.
I think I
Here,
saw it.
you probably did. I'll show it to the camera. Give me 2 minutes.
That's actually it's actually insane. Like, why do you have that?
Yeah, I believe it was on sale. Yeah, $25. When Luke was we were visiting Pittsburgh that one weekend. Luke was with his sports business club and they went to the ACK and toured the ACK and saw the pro shop.
The Yak, baby.
Yeah, Pro Shop is. I mean, they did a fantastic job, but uh, Najee they had like $20. Fields they had $25, and this was $25.
The
Uh,
Yak is sick.
a, a
That's
Russ
actually a
block,
home jersey. Like, that's sick.
a Russ block number jersey.
That's dude, in 5 years, that's gonna be a relic. Like, that'll be so
Right.
fire. Like,
It's a relic right now.
yeah, true. I'm keeping my away Fields jersey, Steeler Fields
Yeah.
jersey. Like, that's gonna be so hard. Played 6 games for the
Yeah.
team. My favorite.
Russ embarrassed the Jets in that jersey. That'll always have a good place in my heart for that.
True.
I I got my Fields Steeler jersey too.
Yeah, yeah. I
Can't forget my Cam Newton Patriots jersey. Shout out DH Gate back when
Can't
they
forget
still
that.
sold those.
I miss my goat Jay Fields. I wish he was my quarterback, but rather disappointing. But
Well, fellas, that's going to do it for this edition of the Weekly Gridiron. We will be back soon. Maybe not until the end of the school year for us, because after the draft, I have a feeling finals week is going to hit us all like a truck, but especially me. I mean, I've got a lot to do to finish out the year, but as they say, we'll get her done.
we'll get her done, baby.
So,
I like how we all have our script hats on right now. This is sick.
sure. This is one of my favorite hats. I
This
love
is
this.
this is my favorite. So
I think it's the first time I've had the 28-3 flag in the back.
so gas, so hard. In my opinion, the best Super Bowl I've ever watched. But
Yeah, no doubt.
That was a great Super Bowl.
so sick. Anyway,
All right. We are your boys, Adam.
Dante,
And Luke.
And we'll see y'all soon. Enjoy the draft. Hope your team drafts who you want, or hope they draft someone you like. Anyways, enjoy the draft, and we'll see y'all soon.
I just bust down my AP.